Levac and Goss here with you on 104.5 The Team, and joining us now, he covers the Cavaliers and everything Cleveland for 92.3 The Fan. Alex Hooper joined us, and I was texting Alex yesterday. I go, look, man, I know you're busy. You're fielding calls on Cleveland fans and the departure of LeBron James. Alex, take us to Cleveland. How are Cavalier fans feeling the day after LeBron announces he's going to the Lakers?
Well, I thought it would be a little different this time around, and I think I even told you guys about a year ago. I think we talked about it, and I said, it'll be different this time. And as far as sports talk radio goes, it was not. It was a lot of the same. It was a lot of people mad, just trying to find reasons to hate LeBron and be mad at LeBron for leaving again. And I don't buy any of it. I blamed Dan Gilbert pretty heavily for the whole situation with David Griffin, and I think that's ultimately why this happened. And, people wanted to try to reverse engineer why Griff wasn't good, and LeBron was signing one-and-ones because he knew he wanted to go to L.A. And while that might be true to a degree, I think there's so much more in play there. And people were mad, and people are going to feel what they want to feel. And, again, I disagree with it a whole lot. And we did get some people calling and saying, hey, it hurts, but, I understand it. And that was few and far between. But I know the nature of our business is the people who are going to call a lot of times are the people who have the most outrageous points of view and want to express them. So as far as that goes, we got a lot of that last night. But at the same time, my Twitter feed, I did get a lot of people who were just like, good for him, I hope he succeeds, and that's how I feel as well.
Alex, Brian Mariano filling in for Jeff Levac this week as he's enjoying his vacation. Now, what is this going to impact Cleveland as a whole? I mean, I know there's still pieces left with Kevin Love. Do you feel as if they will kind of sell the farm and look towards maybe drafting the next future or try and win this season with the roster they have?
The word is that they want to win. They still want to compete for a playoff spot. And while in the East I do think it's a possibility, I think this roster could compete for an 8th seed. I don't see the point in that, but I'm not Dan Gilbert. And I don't think Dan wants to tear down and rebuild for the second time in a decade. So I could see why we would want to stretch this out and, try to put something together. We'll see. I mean, as soon as they make a free agent move, as soon as they sign anybody, if they do, I mean, they're still pretty well over the salary cap, even without LeBron. If they do anything, I think we'll know their intent. But it makes so much sense for them to tear down. I mean, even if you are the 8th seed next year, after that season, I mean, you don't have a first-round pick unless you finish in the bottom 10 of the lottery. So you have to do that the next 2 years if you want to, keep your first-round pick. So maybe you try to win this year with Love and then have everyone come off the books after the year and then start the rebuild, try to get that playoff revenue that will fuel. I mean, they're completely renovating Quicken Loans Arena, and a lot of the agreement was based on, the city will get X amount of playoff income. Well, where is that now? So there are a lot of factors. I think it makes sense to chase both things, but from a winning standpoint, I think you need to start the rebuild now, but I don't know that is first in everybody's mind.
I got to go back to the Dan Gilbert comments and his relationship with LeBron James. I think we all understand that way back in 2010, the letter Gilbert sends out, he trashes LeBron. But Gilbert, in some ways, is a boss. And I don't know a lot of people in their workplaces that like their bosses anyways. Is that the reason he's gone? Because Dan Gilbert from 8 years ago said somebody he didn't like, or is there more to this story that we don't know?
I mean, it definitely starts there. See, the thing, he is technically the boss, but this isn't a typical worker, employer relationship. LeBron is bigger than the game of basketball. LeBron is certainly bigger than any one team in the league. That's why people chase him the way that they do. And he certainly was bigger than the Cleveland Cavaliers organization at that time, who had Kyrie Irving and a whole lot of nothing. I mean, sure, you had Andrew Wiggins coming in, but he's barely even been an above-average player in the league to this point. So you didn't have much, and you needed LeBron, and you sold your soul to bring him back. Obviously, it helped LeBron's legacy to come back to Cleveland. He wanted to win a championship here because, his story always would have had that black mark unless he came back and did that. So Gilbert says, all right, we make a mutual agreement here. I will spend everything I have to spend to get a title because I want to be the guy to do that. and you will lead this team because you want to be the guy to do that. And then once they got the title, Gilbert says, I don't want to pay David Griffin anymore. This is where my payment, my never-ending stream, this is where this ends. The guy who's mediating everything with Kyrie Irving, the guy who's making all of these trades to somehow escape cap hell year in and year out. We don't need to pay him anymore. Sure enough, Irving says, hey, I heard about those trades you were talking about. I want out. And Gilbert gives in. The new GM trades him for pennies on the dollar. And then you trade those guys for slightly above, market value. You might have gotten back a nice piece in Larry Nance, and maybe Jordan Clarkson becomes something. But they just got worse and worse. And it became very obvious that there is no roster flexibility on this team. And the people in charge, thanks to Dan Gilbert letting David Griffin go, were not capable of making this a win-now scenario for LeBron. So he's going to go to a scenario where he may not win now, but they can at least have some flexibility, and his kid can go to a nice school in L.A., he can raise his family out where he loves raising his family, and he can be in the biggest market in the world and still deal with his production company. It's a win-win-win when the Cavs had nothing to offer.
Joining us now, 92.3, the Fan's own Alex Hooper. He covers Cleveland sports right there in Cleveland. He's been dealing with the LeBron calls, finding out information about the move and all these things that have come together. I know we asked this off the top of the interview about how Cavalier fans perceive LeBron initially after the move to Los Angeles, but the one thing, we talked about this yesterday, I think you could offer good perspective on it. A Cleveland thing, like in New York, there is going to be a lot of pushback about an athlete who might leave a city twice. And you kind of hinted at this a little bit. You as a Cleveland person feel like what LeBron did for your city almost exceeds sports. Like it changed the perception around the city. Is that why his legacy is always going to be there?
I think it's that, for one thing, but he's also opening, on July 31st, the next time we hear from LeBron publicly, it will be him opening up his own school. It's a public school in Akron. And this is aside from the fact that he's already sending, I think, 1,100 kids to college free. Like, he is funding them to go to college. He's opening his own, I promise, public school that is going to take care of underprivileged kids in Akron and their families. And he's doing this out of his pocket. And when people come back, when his advisors come back and say, hey, we need to do this, he says, well, why aren't we doing it? Let's make it happen. That's his passion, and that's his legacy. He's going to do so much more outside of basketball when he retires that we might forget he's a basketball player. And I think that's what's important to remember here. As far as sports go, yeah, I think he did do enough. I think him coming back when he didn't have to and willing this team in one of the craziest circumstances of all time, I think that should stand alone itself. And what he's done for this city. I don't think he owes us anything. I don't think he owes the city anything. He certainly doesn't owe Dan Gilbert anything. So he did what he wanted to do. He did what he should have done for the city. He did what he promised to do for the city from the get-go. But he's also impacting Northeast Ohio so much more deeply than people realize. And it needs more coverage. Obviously, people are more interested in basketball. But, he is changing an entire city where he grew up because that is what he's passionate about. And people can never forget that. At least they should never forget that.
That's a fantastic answer. We got to close on this. We can't get any better than that. Alex Hooper, 92.3, the Fan in Cleveland. I know he's been busy this week dealing with all the LeBron stuff and everything happening. Alex, appreciate your time, man. We'll be talking again soon. We won't forget about you even though LeBron left Cleveland. We'll still call you once in a while. We promise, especially for the Indians.
It sounds good. I do look forward to talking to you about that. It should be a fun rest of the season for them.